Hello my lovely little weasels, it is your lovely host, the Gaming Weasel, and this is my annual Warframe tier list. In today's tier list I will be covering every one of the 54 Warframes in the game currently. Qorvex, our beloved new rock on the block, is going to be in the 2024 list because I'm honestly not gonna have enough time to test him out properly, so I can't really, get good information on him, so that's why I'm not gonna put him here. But first of all, a couple of different things. I'm probably going to put your favorite Warframe inside of the bottom part of this board. You're probably going to get mad. Type in a comment, or maybe even a constructive comment that I maybe didn't notice. That would be pretty interesting. But yeah, that's going to happen. I'm going to be trying to be as objective as I possibly can, with a dash of subjectivity on a little bit, but mostly objective, and just utilizing the Warframes. Basically, I'm going to be looking at Steel Path. All these Warframes can survive Steel Path without any issues. Some of them with a little bit of issues, but nonetheless, to some certain degree, they can survive it. I'm basically going to be covering the utilization and everything corresponding to the Warframe. But if there's a better variant of a Warframe, I'm going to put it above that, I guess, other variant, and I guess you'll see that in a couple of instances. But now that we have gotten that out of the way, you can type in your comments, and let's start off with Ash. Ash is going to go in B tier. Now, I'm gonna put Ash here because of Bladestorm and because of his Seeking Shuriken. Inside of Steel Path, the best missions that I love playing is gonna be Capture, Exterminate, and Spy missions as well. Survival, I do play a decent amount with him. His survival ability is gonna be his Smoke Screen, of course, allowing him to go invisible, and Seeking Shuriken, removing enemy armor. That's pretty good, but there are better abilities at armor stripping, so that could be a little bit better, but Bladestorm is pretty good at damage dealing as well if modded correctly. But I think B is pretty good. He is really good at disruption missions as well. I actually use him in disruption missions, so that's a really cool bonus as well. But the next Warframe up is Atlas. Well, I think Atlas is gonna tumble like a rock down a mountain all the way down to D tier. Honestly, One Punch Man, that doesn't really one punch, but there are more efficient ways of killing enemies. And Petrify, which, extra loot, that's cool, but there are better Warframes for that as well. Rumblers are awful, and the wall thing is awful. He definitely needs changes because Qorvex is going to be the better rock boy on the streets. Banshee is a pretty good Warframe. Silence, very, very good, allowing you to basically crowd control. And then Sonar, giving you damage boosting, pretty good. Her fourth ability, it was extremely useful a long time ago in Warframe's history, but now it's pretty bad in my honest opinion. At least I haven't really modded for it. I really exchanged it for a helmet ability, so I guess you could count that as a downside. You need to change that. And her first ability is good, but there is a better utilization there. But I think she is pretty good where she is. Now, moving on to Baruch. Baruch is definitely going to go into S tier in my opinion. You have damage reduction, you have energy, you have, if you do use Elude, the first ability, you basically have invulnerability if you don't attack. And his fourth, where when you do attack, you do so much damage, it just kills everything, everywhere. So his fists are very, very good. I think there's nothing that you cannot do fast with the Baruch. Honestly, extermination missions, maybe Capture, are pretty bad for him because he can't really get his restraint meter down as fast, but of course long-term missions are going to be extremely good for Baruch. Caliban. Caliban is a Warframe that I have played recently a lot, and I've been trying to test him out, and I really haven't found the perfect build yet for him. I'm pretty close to finding one. I've subsumed Nourish onto his first ability, but Caliban, in my opinion, is just a Warframe that utilizes shield gating 2.0 incredibly good, with shield recharge with his little sentinels. That he can spawn 3 of them, which give him shield regeneration, along with the new mods as well. He is really good at that, but There are better Warframes that can armor strip. He has his 4 that can, but and also a wider as well that costs less energy, and his, as I said, first ability I pretty much changed out. I don't really like that ability. Second and third are pretty decent, but it could definitely be better. That's why he goes there. And Chroma is gonna follow shortly after. I'm sorry, I love the dragon. I do, but the sad thing is I only use it for Prophet Taker. I think that in most missions the buffs are pretty much not going to be as good as some other Warframes can give you. He can survive, but he's surviving on health and armor in most cases, and that's not as good as a lot of people may think. So that is not something to really gloat about. His first ability I don't really even want to talk about. His fourth, as I said, is pretty useful with the Prophet Taker, and that's honestly why he deserves to be in C tier. There could be a couple of changes, but you know, we'll see what happens with that. Citrine. Citrine is a Warframe that I actually started to love a lot lately. She is the most recent Warframe that I've made a video on, and honestly, she basically is perfect as is. She is one of the rare Warframes where you don't have to change anything. You can keep all 4 abilities. All you really need are good mods and Archon shards and a good weapon to keep her and make her incredibly fun and interesting to play, and also boost you and your team's damage. So Citrine is maybe a pick that you wouldn't expect to be here, but check her out. She is definitely quite interesting. The Goth is another Warframe that I think is one of the better Warframes in recent times, and I think she deserves to be in A tier as well. I mostly love her. Her 4th ability I do change out because I don't like it. It's a little bit clunky for me, but her 4th ability gives you armor strip as well, which is very good. You also gain health. You also basically can survive everything because there is an invincibility period, and all you need to do is just wait for it by just dodging a couple of times with rolling guard. Her survivability is through the roof if you can keep it up. If you miss, you know, a couple of rolls and you get insta killed, then yeah, she's not that fun. But a really good Warframe, one of the better Warframes in recent times. Ember, I'm gonna sadly have to put her in C tier. Ember, I think, in my opinion, does something that a similar Warframe does, but a lot worse. She is pretty decent with survivability, but she drains a lot of energy. I think her meteor shower is pretty much useless. Her first ability is pretty much useless. I mean, they all do synergize as well. I'm not saying they don't, but in my opinion, I do not prefer her for Steel Path. I'm not saying she's not useful in her own manner, because even if you do have Steel Path unlocked, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna do everything inside of it. But if you decide not to, for example, relic runs, extermination, capture, and basically mobile defense, any sort of mission where you need to play and kill enemies fast, she is made for meteor shower. That is incredibly good, and that's why I think she's at least in C tier, but I think there could be a couple of changes. Now, Equinox, I'm also going to put here. I know she can nuke, I know she can put enemies to sleep, but that's basically it. And she's really cool for leveling. She's really good for endurance missions as well as a support, but other than that, I don't think she's going to go anywhere above that. She does have great capabilities, but a lot of Warframes above her. There's a lot of Warframes above her. You have to keep that in mind as well. So I'm not saying she's bad. She's just outclassed by some of the other Warframes. Excalibur. Excalibur is the jack of all trades Warframe. You basically have everything here. I think the first ability could be changed out. If we're talking, I guess, better versions of these Warframes as well, the Umbral one, Umbral Excalibur is pretty good as well. I guess spoiler maybe for some people, but yeah, Umbral Excalibur is pretty good as well because you have 3 Umbral formulas already attached to it. It's incredibly good. So I would honestly put him in B. He can survive in Steel Path. There are actually I found out like 3 ways to survive with him. So he's really good inside of Steel Path for me. So I do really like Excalibur, but I think, yeah, they're better Warframes, definitely. Frost I would definitely put here as well. He has armor stripping. His snow globe is pretty good, but I think it would be definitely better if they boosted it a little bit, because it's literally a snow globe at the moment. It's made out of glass and it gets destroyed like it's nothing. And you can do a little bit of funny business with those as well. Snow globes. His first ability is pretty much useless. I guess you can just pop snow globes, which is cool. Second ability, pretty good as well, but nothing too incredibly beneficial. So yeah, but he can be pretty good for armor stripping as well, and surviving in steel path in general. I guess mostly armor stripping. But Gara. Now, Gara is going to be an interesting one. Gara can scale her damage to incredible numbers. But the thing that usually happens in Warframe, and usually people do this, is make mistakes. No one's perfect and all that shenanigans, and you might run into a nullifier, and all of your effort for the past, let's say, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, it doesn't matter, 3 minutes, is gonna get lost inside of that nullifier, and it's all really dependent on you. She can be, for some people, she can be literally A or S tier. For me, I'm gonna put her in B tier, somewhere around here, because of my clumsiness, sort of, but if you know how to play her, she is definitely up here. So if you dodge every say, if you don't play Corpus, if you don't actually interact with them, and also I guess Corrupted, then you're pretty much up here, in my opinion. But in general, all-around gameplay, I would put her here. Garuda is interesting. I have an interesting bond with Garuda. I love Garuda for some odd reason, but yet I play her almost the least in Warframe. The thing is, I think she does surviving incredibly good and buffing herself and her teammates as well. She's pretty well rounded as well, and I think that I'm going to put her inside of B tier. I'm definitely gonna put her inside of B tier, but who's not going to B tier? That's gonna be Gauss. Gauss, in my opinion, well, I guess Gauss Prime, but that is gonna be coming out. I definitely do love him. Incredibly good at fast missions, incredibly good at increasing your DPS to so many incredible amounts. But inside of survival missions, I think there are better Warframes. I love him. I do survive with him. It can get difficult sometimes. But if you really know how to, I guess, not really play the game, but utilize his mechanics, which I sometimes don't, mistakes. I would definitely gonna put it in A tier, but you have to keep in mind there are better Warframes for some of his certain features. Grendel is a Warframe that I'm going to put in C tier. Now, not because he's bad, is because honestly, he is a Warframe that could get a couple of different, I guess, benefits still. His first ability, sucks up enemies, gives you armor. Armor's incredibly good. For survivability, he is incredible. Yeah, you can not die with this Warframe. There are better Warframes at surviving, yes, but he is really, really good at it. His third ability is the ability that I don't like on him, and I think his fourth and his second are pretty good. Of course, Nourish being the ability that every single other Warframe uses. I'm actually going to go and put him up here, and I don't think he deserves to be in C tier, at least B tier. But other than that, I guess the biggest flaw with this third is that Eximus units exist, and they are incredibly annoying to get rid of. So I guess until that somehow changes, that would be pretty good, and he would be even above because he is really, really good. Now, Gyre is a Warframe that I think is sort of actually the really, really distant relative of Garuda. Crowd controlling, survivability through shields, and hers of course is health, but long distance, I guess, and of course increasing damage, increasing critical damage, giving electricity damage, Archon stretch, and so many different features on her. I don't utilize her a lot, but I do love her mechanics, and I do love the Warframe, and I think when you make her correctly, she is definitely a really decent Warframe. Hero, I'm incredibly sad to put him here, but I'm gonna have to. I love Hero. I've been using Hero for a long time. He's been my main for a long time, but he has sadly fallen off. He can have a decent amount of survivability through shields, especially now with the shield getting changes. He gives you critical chance, which is really good. You have crowd controlling with his first, you have energy regeneration and health regeneration. You are basically everything that you need. He is supposed to be a support frame, but he's really good solo, so you're usually gonna play him solo. In a team comp, there's probably better support frames, but I think there's better Warframes for crowd controlling that can do all that Hero does, but just a bit better. So yeah, definitely, I'm gonna put him here. I'm not saying he's bad, he's good, but just not as utilized. But Hildren, I'm also gonna put her here. Honestly, pillage. Just pillage. You're mostly gonna get Hildren for pillage. She is pretty usable in most of course environments. If I don't mention where they're usable and everything, that means they're generally usable everywhere. I'm just gonna be mostly talking about the usability, like with the Hero and Hildren at the moment. So Hildren, in my opinion, definitely is just pillage. She's pretty good at surviving and everything, and crowd controlling as well. With her third, Balefire is incredibly bad, and her fourth is incredibly bad, in my honest opinion. Just floating up, wasting shields is not really any, and you can only fire the Balefire, so it's not that good in my opinion. But someone who is Hydroid. Hydroid is incredibly good now. He is no longer the puddle boy. He actually does a lot. His damage is basically corrosive. He removes armor like it's nothing. You also gain extra loot from him with his ability, and also the pilfering the pilfering swarm augment. So he is very good and incredibly good with I think it's rousing plunder, the third ability augment, allowing him to survive basically a lot with only shields, health, and armor. So Hydroid is up there right now. Inaros is definitely not. He is where he belongs, inside of the sand. He just survives, and that's basically it. Spins around in a circle, that doesn't do anything, and then basically sucks up enemies, gives himself health back, gains armor, gives himself health back, and then survives for a long time. And that's basically it. He definitely needs changes. Ivara is really good in an interesting manner. Her Artemis bow is pretty good. Her, of course, zipline and second ability are pretty good, really good abilities, and she can go invisible whilst walking, crouching, but sadly not wall running and double jumping and bullet jumping as well, if I am correct. I don't know the exact movements on the top of my head, but a pretty decent Warframe can be utilized a little bit in spy missions as well, and I guess the slower paced missions, but other than that, yeah, definitely inside of C tier. But someone who's definitely not whipping her way to C tier is gonna be Khora. Khora's gonna go into S tier right away. Khora is the farming Warframe inside of Steel Path. She is usable everywhere. First of all, she does incredible damage. Her abilities are really good. The only thing that you subsume is Venari. You put basically, you can put a lot of abilities here, and of course accumulating whip claw, her first ability, and her augment for her first ability, allowing you to do incredible amounts of damage with a good stat stick. Just a perfect Warframe. Kullervo is my magnum opus. There's a little bit of bias here. I'm not gonna put him in S tier. He definitely does have S tier damage and survivability. That's basically it. That's actually all you basically need for Steel Path, but he is... Actually, I have nothing bad to say about Kullervo. Nonetheless, I think Kullervo is incredibly good, and I do have a little bit of bias. He is my magnum opus. The video that I made on him is honestly my best work, and that is the build that I came up with, and I feel incredibly good because I was late at night. There's a long story. I'll tell it one day. But nonetheless, yes, I love Kullervo. I think that... honestly, you could put him up here, but he needs a little bit more requirements than these two Warframes do. And plus, these Warframes are more utilized. Kullervo's not utilized as much. Lavos is going to go into C tier. I apply status effects, I throw stuff and survive, and that's pretty much it. Gun CEO can be utilized with him, but you have Zatrine, so you're not going to do that. Honestly, that's basically it. I would love to see Lavos get a buff, but other than that, nothing. Honestly, Limbo, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to skedaddle inside of D tier. I think his abilities are decent and can be utilized outside of Steel Path, for explosions, for cracking open boxes on the map. He can be utilized for many different things, and nuking as well, but... I don't know, I just think that he needs rework. His Rift is pretty cool and everything, but not utilized in in a good manner. You can play survival missions, defense missions, but you don't really gain anything from it, and there's better Warframes at it in the game. Loki. Oh, I'm gonna put him in C tier. I don't have the heart to put him. I use him so much. Loki's incredibly good for his invisibility. He has the longest actual ability, invisibility, in the game, if I'm correct. And I think I am. Honestly, really good. And also removing enemies' weapons, crowd controlling, nice. But that's basically it. Wouldn't play him in survival missions. Wouldn't really play any long endurance missions with him. I use him in the plains, honestly. I use him in the open worlds a lot, for example, because invisibility is much better because I don't want to annoy the local populations. And that's basically it. But I think his decoy is just not usable at all, and his switch teleport is pretty cool, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Mag, incredibly good, goes to A tier straight away. Crowd controlling, armor reduction, damage dealing, incredible amounts of damage dealing, especially with a paired with an incredibly good weapon. Destroys Archons, destroys, what are they called? The Acolytes, anything. I love Mag. Mag is incredibly good. Mesa, in my opinion, this is the little bit of the subjectivity that I said. Mesa, in my opinion, with my Pillage and Shatter Shield build, I love her. She survives everything. I play here inside of Deimos where there almost isn't even any armor to be found, or I guess, yeah, armor and shields, because Pillage needs that. And honestly, she survives even that, and I love her. Her damage is incredible. Her survivability is also incredible. All you need to really watch out is melee, and that's basically it. So Mesa is really close to my heart, so she's gonna go up there. Mirage, Eclipse. The Eclipse and what's it called? The Explosive Regiment build for ESO. That's basically it. I don't use her for survivability. I honestly don't recommend you do either. There are better Warframes than that. And yeah, honestly, those are the two only things that she's good for, in my honest opinion. Necros isn't, though. Necros, in my opinion, is gonna go into S tier right away. He has been usable for the longest time in Warframe, so definitely going to stay up here, giving you loot, giving you invincibility, basically. Well, not invincibility, but a lot of survivability, and an assortment amount of survivability. The only ability that I change out is the first one, but that's basically it. Soul Punch. Everything else is incredible on him, and gives you extra loot, and who doesn't want that? Neja's gonna go into C tier. Neja is honestly a fire version of Rhino, in my opinion. I mean, his first ability, you walk, you do fire damage. Second ability, you basically give yourself a chakram shield, which is incredibly good. Third ability, you use that chakram to teleport. And his fourth ability is going to be spikes out of the ground. And his second ability that I forgot to mention, it does of course react sort of in a way like Rhino's Iron Skin. So yeah, I think just honestly Rhino. But yeah, he's gonna go there. Nidus. Nidus is gonna go here as well in C tier. Nidus is really good. Nidus has damage. Nidus has one of the best survivability in the game. First of all, he is basically invincible. All you need to do is keep up your stacks, because he cannot die. He can sacrifice 10 stacks and you can keep doing that infinitely. Same as with some other survival Warframes that I think rank above him a little bit. Talking about you. But yes, other than that, I think they're just better, I guess, damage output Warframes in the game than Nidus. Nidus really fell off, in my honest opinion. I loved him. I loved using Nidus. I was one of the people that had, I think I had 8 and no, I had like 16 it's called foremost on both of my Niduses. I love Nidus, but sadly I don't think he compares to some of the other Warframes up here. Nova, in my opinion, is going to go up here. She is usable in basically everything, especially with a squad. She can be incredibly good in survival missions, defense missions, speeding that up, slowing that down, everything that needs to be slowed down. And can actually survive, which is incredible, and especially with the shield changes as well. Null Star's incredible ability, subsumable ability that you can put on a different Warframe that we're going to talk about, that can make it incredibly good. So just an all-round good Warframe. Nyx is not though. Nyx I think still needs changes. Definitely, I think she is lackluster in almost every department that it can be. So yeah, I don't think either her crowd controlling, damage dealing, and survivability as well are not on part on some of the other Warframes. Oberon, now, okay. This is difficult because I want to put him in C tier, but I sort of want to put him in D as well. C tier because of one thing. He is pretty usable, survivable as well. Radiation damage is not the best, but it's okay, and he does need the helmet system as well, and he doesn't really give anything other back to the other peeps in his ranks and above. But I think that honestly the newest Warframe Qorvex is going to be much better radiation Warframe and a better survival Warframe than our old Goat Boy is going to be. So yeah, but Octavia nonetheless plays her new song and goes up to S tier. Crouch and activate 4 abilities. That's basically it. And just go invisible. And that's it. Do I need to say anything more? I think I do not. But Portia definitely is gonna go into A tier. Portia is an incredibly good Warframe. Can be used without any helmet with her 4th ability and with the augment for it as well. I currently forgot the name, but with the helmet she does become a little bit better. Dispensary's incredible abilities to subsume as well. She's usable in basically everything, and all she needs is just energy, which isn't that hard to come by these days, and I think she's a pretty good all-round Warframe that everybody should have. But Revenant is a Warframe that is not gonna having to, I guess, need to use his revives because he is going to not die ever. Subsume either Eclipse, Zaku's Whisper, or Roar onto onto Revenant instead of his 4th ability, in my opinion. And you're basically just gonna be killing everything. It is gonna be boring because you have your 1st ability, crowd controlling. You have basically your wave, which you gain health back, which you're never gonna lose because you have Mesmer skin and Mesmer shields, boosting your team's shields as well, supporting your team. And you have your 4th ability, which is gonna Roar. I usually use Roar and gonna boost your team's damage. So this Warframe just boosts damage, boosts your team as well. Sorry, I bumped into the microphone there. And also doesn't die inside a steel path. And Rhino doesn't die either. And I think I'm gonna put him in A tier. He is, of course, giving you one of the best abilities that we just talked about, Roar, into the helmet system. First of all, usability incredible, starting off with that fact. Survivability is incredible as well. With the overguard changes, he can go way up high. Now, it has been reduced, keep that in mind, but his survivability is still really good, and Roar works best on him. Stomp is also a really good ability, but his 1st is lackluster. But honestly, his 3rd ability, Roar, can boost your damage to incredible amounts, and as I said, a big helmet impact. Siren goes straight up to S tier. S is for Spores and S for Siren. So do I need to say anything? ESO, fast missions, slow missions, every type of mission, the long endurance, short, doesn't matter. She's going to be pretty decent in all of them. Survivability incredibly good as well, and a pretty good boost. Support Warframe as well. Sevagoth is going to go into C tier as well. Actually, I'm gonna put him in B tier. I'm gonna put him in B tier because, first of all, he is pretty unique in the way of having 2 forms, 2 separate abilities, and both of them being actually really good. And also Gloom, the ability that I think 98% of the other Warframes in the game can definitely utilize in some way, shape, or form. Of course, being incredibly useful for that, and mostly for that, but his ability set is really good, and he can survive and utilize his kit incredibly well. That's why I'm going to put him in B tier. And Styanax is going to go inside of A. Now, Styanax has been nerfed a little bit with his 4th, but the amount of overguard you can gain is still incredible, and the survivability damage amount that you can deal is still really high. Styanax is one of my most utilized Warframes, and I actually use Styanax to kill Archons alongside Kalervo. So yeah, Titania. Titania is a really good Warframe for fast missions, but not in Steel Path. especially with no star. But as a Warframe, she definitely needs a rework. And the only thing that's keeping her in B tier is because of her incredible usability in fast missions. Any fast mission you can do in like 30 seconds, 40 seconds with her, and incredibly good, and the perfect Warframe for Volta runs in demos. Trinity's sadly gonna go into, honestly, I'm gonna put her in D tier. I'm sorry. She can survive, she can boost, she can help you, and armor strip as well. But there are Warframes that can do that on a much larger scale and survive on a much better and easier method. I think Trinity needs to be the old and gold Trinity that she was before, still helping out your team. She is a good support frame as well, not saying that, but I think, in my honest opinion, there are Warframes that definitely outshine her. Valk, or I guess Valkyr, I'm gonna put her in C tier. She's pretty good, pretty survivable. Her fourth is decent. It was better before, but it's decent now. Her first ability, grapple, just okay. And her second, Warcry, of course, and her third are pretty decent. But other than that, yeah, C tier in my opinion. Vauban is gonna be going into... It's definitely going to be going into B. I would call him the crowd controlling specialist. He's really good at crowd controlling, and he's pretty decent at dealing damage as well. With the shield changes, he is pretty good at surviving as well. It's just that he seems sort of like a strange knockoff version of Hydroid. Crowd controlling, damage dealing, they're similar in some fashion, but I think the better mechanics is Protea. Just that she outshines him a lot. I think since the debuffs, he's definitely better, but Protea is definitely still much better than Vauban is. But moving on to Volt. Volt is going straight into S for speed and, of course, for being one of the best and most utilized Warframes in the game. The perfect Eidolon Hunter. ESO, going inside of arbitrations, going inside of doing fast missions, slow missions, boosting your team's damage, boosting your damage, just making your team run faster, doing missions faster. He does everything incredibly good, and he does it to a T. But we have Varuna. Varuna's gonna go into B tier, in my honest opinion. I do love her. 4 different passives. One of them basically allowing you to be almost invincible, and then having one that gives you free adaptation, incredible as well. 4 great abilities, except in my opinion the 4th one. I think there are much better melee weapons than her 4th, but if it can be utilized, and she definitely can be, her 3rd is incredible as well, and a really decent subsumed ability. You might be surprised what Lycan's Hunt can do, so that's why she's gonna go into B tier. Wisp, in my honest opinion, the best, I guess, boosting in health, then fire rate, and a little bit of crowd controlling with her electricity, and also gaining energy a lot from it, and also really good surviving. It's just a really great support for Warframe. And S for ass, I mean, we all knew she was gonna be here. Wukong is sadly fallen off, in my opinion, from S tier. All because of his 4th, and his Celestial Twin being pretty decent, but not as good as I would expect it to be. Incredibly good, of course, for fast missions. Capture missions I can do in Kepit, in the Void, in round 25 was, I think, no, I'm lying, it was 30 seconds, yes, 30 seconds my fastest time with him, and it was incredibly fast. I love doing fast missions with him. He's really good at it, especially spy missions, the spy specialist right here. He can be used for endurance missions as well, but I think his 4th is not the best melee out there. But Zaku's definitely gonna go in test tier as well. Zaku is incredibly good in my opinion. If you're stationary somewhere, he can basically outclass a lot of these Warframes that have similar abilities, like armor stripping, having damage dealing, especially with void damage being in mind, dealing double damage or double ticks, and his 4th ability as well, making his other ones last longer, giving you basically not invincibility, but a lot of dodging, and I think he definitely just doesn't have to do anything. Set up your 3rd and activate your 2nd and 1st, and you're pretty much done. And activate 4th and keep up your 4th. That's basically it. Yareli, in my opinion, I'm gonna anger some people. I'm sorry. I do not find it really useful in the meta. Her movement is pretty bad as well. Grendel's was bad. Now it's incredible. Hers is still bad with Merlina. Her abilities I don't find to be very useful. Crowd controlling can be done in much better ways. And yeah, survivability as well. But Zephyr's definitely not. Zephyr is, in my opinion, going up to A tier. I'm gonna put up with A tier. Tornadoes, incredibly good. Her default kit is incredible as well, boosting your damage as well. Critical chance, critical damage if I'm correct. I might be wrong on that one. And also crowd controlling, and incredibly good at leveling up your weapons, surprisingly enough. So Zephyr's going up into A tier. Incredible Warframe, and I think that is the list over. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do leave a like and do subscribe. If you guys didn't, leave in the comment section down below which Warframe I misplaced, because I'm guessing that's going to be your favorite Warframe. Now, and positive comments as well, maybe. And that's going to be basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed, as I said. And this has been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.